Out here, guys.
He's going to go somewhere else now. Then I don't know if he spoke at the Starbucks a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, he did?
Yeah.
What's that? Oh yeah, we're good. You say 12 o'clock? Okay. Wow.
Check, 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 mic check, 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 check. Still good? Mic check, 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 check.
Are we good, J-Lo?
Mic check, mic check, 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 mic check. Okay.
Dave A.
What's that, Randy? Let me check. I guess, can we go check out Crawfordsville, or is it? Okay. Sure, I'll get an address. Sky came to newsroom. Matt, we're going to try to check out the damage in Crawfordsville. Can you give me an address?
Mic check, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check, mic check, mic check, 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 mic check.
Sky came to newsroom. Matt, do you copy? Okay.
Hey, just
All right, well,
just
leave
so you
him
know,
flag
we've been
over
told by
base.
Secret Service Governor Pence
Matt,
is
can you
not
forward that
going
email
to
my,
speak.
personal
He's
email
going to get in his
address,
motorcade and leave.
sambratton@gmail.com.
At Adam, I'm sorry. We're going to go. We can go outside.
In about 20 minutes. All right, let's make the 7:30 hit, and then we'll. Okay. Yeah, we'll just stay over here. This is the most damage. Let me just check in with Tyler. Wait, so we're in Mace, right? Okay. Okay. Skycam to newsroom. Matt, we're gonna stay here in Mace. We're gonna have to refuel after the next cut in, and this is probably the most extensive damage. So if you'd let Tyler know, we'll stay here for the next cut in. Thanks. it? Oh, yeah.
All right, everyone, you're looking at aerials from some of this tornado damage in central Illinois. Multiple tornadoes sweeping through the Midwest yesterday. This is just some of the damage that took place in central Illinois. We're going to take you back to this in a few minutes, but we want to take you live right now to Joliet, Illinois, where a SWAT situation is underway at a Harrah's casino. Very peculiar. I'm going to work to get you guys some more information on this SWAT standoff at the Harrah's Casino in Illinois. Again, these are live images coming in. While I work to get you guys that information, we'll bring you some of these live aerials so you can get a feel for the scene. And you know what? As soon as I said that, it looks like the chopper decided to leave the scene. So we're going to take you back to those aerials out of Indiana. Again, guys, you're looking at live aerials of the damage in central Indiana. Now, the latest update from the National Weather Service, this update coming 10 minutes ago, the National Weather Service says it's still unclear how many tornadoes touched down in Indiana on Wednesday. The state's Department of Homeland Security reported early this morning that 12 tornadoes hit the state, but later the agency revised that number and brought it down to 8. Now, Weather Service meteorologist Joseph Neal said it's not yet clear how many tornadoes touched down, although an EF3 tornado did strike Kokomo and an EF2 swept part of Montgomery County. Neal believes that it's likely several more tornadoes struck Indiana, but that those findings won't come until later today. Now, earlier today, Indiana Governor Mike Pence had been hugging and chatting with people whose homes were destroyed or damaged when a tornado whipped through the city of Kokomo. Donald Trump's running mate arrived in Kokomo by helicopter to view the damage this morning, a day after heavy storms spawned tornadoes across north and central Indiana. Now, many trees were knocked down in the storm and a large truck was hurled onto its side. Some homes ruined, while others were largely untouched. I know there's video that we have that I'll be showing you later of a Starbucks completely flattened in the city of Kokomo. Mike Pence touring that area as well. Kokomo mayor said this morning that he's grateful no one was killed or seriously injured by this storm. However, many homes were damaged and about 220 people stayed overnight at a shelter in Kokomo. Kokomo, about 40 miles north of Indianapolis. Mike Pence delivered comments on the damage in Indiana after touring the destruction. This is what the governor had to say.
Thank you all for being here. I want to thank Senator Donnelly and Congressman Rokita for being here, but I mostly want to express my appreciation to Mayor Goodnight and the outstanding team of first responders here in the city of Kokomo, the state of Indiana, playing a supporting role. But the efforts here to give proper warning to this community, to be there for the families once this very serious storm and tornado moved through this area is a great credit to a city that knows how to deal with difficulty. And so, Mayor, I want to commend you, and I also want to commend the neighbors and friends who are already, as you can see today, in front yards helping neighbors, in many cases helping complete strangers put their lives back together. This is what makes Indiana a very special place. I'm very proud to be here. Today is really about us and our federal partners and my Lieutenant Governor just being here to make sure the city has what they need from the state of Indiana. We currently have about 50 Indiana State Troopers that are on the ground assisting the city. We also have Department of Corrections personnel on the ground helping with cleanup. We're continuing to provide supplies, and we'll continue to work very closely with the mayor and with our federal partners to help this community rebuild. I will tell you, walking through the neighborhood across the highway, it's just very moving to talk to these family members who were in their homes, and we see these homes virtually completely destroyed, but because people's quick thinking, because of a good early warning system here locally, no serious injuries, no loss of lives. That's a miracle, and it's a testament to good common sense by Hoosiers, caring about their neighbors and looking after their own. Mayor?
I just want to thank the governor, specifically Senator Donnelly, Congressman Rakita for coming and offering their assistance. We've had a huge amount of outreach throughout the state, mayors from all corners of our state. We have crews in here from the state of Indiana, NDOT crews in here helping us, Indiana Department of Homeland Security. We have street department crews from Westfield and Noblesville, currently working with our street crew, the Howard County Highway Department. I also want to specifically thank, I talked to our Cocoa school superintendent last night and then this morning. We had teachers and bus drivers, because this happened right when school was getting out, that stayed, some of them till 9 o'clock to stay with the students because we had other tornado warnings in place. And these teachers stayed with the students even though they may not have had a lot of knowledge on what happened in their personal lives with their own homes. And so I want to thank those teachers and principals and the bus drivers that did that, as well as our street crew. They stayed over yesterday at about 3:25, and some of them worked as late as 10 o'clock at night, trying to clear streets from the tree damage. Traffic department, parks department, street department, wastewater treatment plant employees just urged on the city to try to bring some sort of normalcy back to the cities.
Great job, Mayor. Senator, any thoughts?
I'd just like to say I want to thank the governor, lieutenant governor, Congressman Rakita, Mayor. This is one of the most resilient, tough towns we'll ever find. We have had so many challenges years ago with the auto companies, then we had the flood, then we had a tornado almost down the same exact street. Then we had another tornado in the exact same spot. And I think the governor will tell you that when we talk to the families, every single one of them looked at us and said, we're going to rebuild. Right. This is our home. This is our ground. This is where we live. And this is where we're going to stay. To which the mayor is very happy. But it's a real testament to Hoosier character, to American character. And what we want to do is to all the families out there, if you're listening, contact us. We'll do everything we can to help, whether it's with insurance or whether it is to see if there's enough there for FEMA restrictions and obligations, and that we're all in this together. That however we can be of help, if you contact the mayor's office or the governor's office or my office, we're all going to come in and get it all together. So we want everybody to know we're here for them, and we're here till everything's squared away for you to the last piece of content.
We're through the response phase. We're into the recovery phase. I just want to encourage Hoosiers to be generous to the Red Cross. We're going to visit the shelter in a few moments. Be generous to organizations that are coming alongside these families. It's important to remember that long after the attention is elsewhere, there's going to be families that are putting their lives back together here. And in the weeks and months ahead, we just encourage people to continue to be generous to the families in this community. And I'll be in Montgomery County a little bit later. Find a Hoosier impacted by these storms yesterday. That in my lifetime we usually get a lot more warning, or we can see a big storm coming. This one came up fast and kept coming. And again, it's a real testament to the first responders here in Howard County and Montgomery County that there were no serious injuries or loss of life. And we're just very grateful to them. Work very hard to make sure that these families have the support and the resources they need.
Now, what would you say to the people over there when they've been hit? Just like a few years ago, I mean, you knew that.
Well, I walked these streets back in 2013, and I think the first question we all ask is, "Are you okay? Is everybody okay?" And to hear the stories, to speak to a man whose mother and sister were in a home that only has 2 walls still standing when they came out. To me, it's just remarkable, and it's nothing short of a miracle. The fact that you had a Starbucks employee who just moments before that that restaurant was leveled, we got 20 people in the back room and saved lives. It's evidence of a lot of good common sense by Hoosiers, a lot of great local efforts to make sure people were warm. But there's a lot of God's grace in that as well. Anybody else?
For public
I'm sorry?
For public officials, say there's a natural disaster, a public official does not return home. Are there perils in that for somebody who is in elected office?
Oh, I really don't think in those terms. My style, since I became governor, is to lead from the front. Got on the ground yesterday. I got to the Emergency Operations Center, met with all of our teams, and we're working very closely with this community and other communities. But I'm an eyes-on leader. I like to lead from the front, and to come here and to hear from the mayor directly, to hear from his outstanding emergency management team, that at this point we have what they need is the kind of leadership that I've always practiced.
How long do you stay, sir?
We're going to be in town and in Montgomery County a little bit later today to look around, but I'll be back at the state capitol a little bit later today, meeting with our team and making sure that we're providing the support on an ongoing basis to these communities to be able to rebuild it. But to talk to these families, as Senator Donnelly just said, to see the resilience in these Hoosiers just makes me proud. People that are out, broad shoulders, putting their lives back together, and a rebuild right there in that neighborhood tells you everything to know about the people of Indiana.
All right, guys, I want to go ahead and show you a video of Mike Pence actually touring the damage itself from earlier today.
Well, we got a mayor here who's got a great team on the ground. They're doing a good job, and then we've State's office to Senator Donnelly and the Congressman. Rolling our sleeves up and figure out how we can help you.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay, we'll do.
My mom is home.
They have to be on the same side.
My mom and my sister live here. Yeah, and they both live here.
Okay, I got his back. Over there,
Well, my sister was working from.
We're not crushing it. You can get over there or you can get back in the
they were in the back.
Where'd they write it out?
In the back closet. Yeah, so on the other side of that other partial wall, there's a closet that my mom said, this is where you go.
Here, now guys, come over this way.
Comes in. So, I grew up here. It was a great house. My grandfather built it in 1958. And my mom and my stepfather raised us here. And then they moved up to Monticello, and I bought the house and raised my kids there, and then moved my mom back into it when she retired. Now we got to rebuild it. We were going to take the tree down anyway, so I guess it's a good thing. So they survived, and they were great.
Your mom and
the sister.
Your sister.
Yep.
Were right behind that wall.
Yep. The little closet that they had. They got good warning from. Blocks over on Elizabeth Street at my office. So I raced over here and was able to climb in and get them out. And there were some great guys that came by and helped out. I don't know who they were, but they helped me get her over the wall and out. So
you had to take her out
the back one, yeah, because we couldn't get through this one. So yeah, it's amazing. And she was calm and wonderful, and just saying, okay, well, just rebuild. So she was a wonderful. Yep, I mean, we've had the house for 3 generations in this family, and it's going to go back up. That's great. So thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you. So
this looks like it's the main pen.
All of that.
So is that
The bottom right here,
so did it come this way?
Yeah, right this way. Yeah. So it came this way and went over that way. So, okay. That's why all the trees are like this way. So, yeah.
Prayers are with you.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
The mayor's done a super job.
No problem.
Glad your family's all right.
Thanks. Yeah, we had the flood in. We had the flood.
pretty tough.
Exactly. We flooded the house, had 18 inches of water in the house. It's like, okay, we're going to go from that. We got missed by the last tornado that came through by a little half a block. So we were half a block. Yeah, half a block. So we're back. Over my house, we're going a little bit. So a little bigger house. Everybody else is concerned with the different house. Everywhere. Okay, that's sure will. Yeah. So far, our insurance company is thanks. You guys have a good day. Be careful out there. Thanks, guys. You guys have a good day. Yep. Thanks. See you guys. Oh, pardon me? Unless you guys want to grab
Hey guys, it's hold for a sec. All right, come this way.
T-E-R-R.
Y. M-U-N, S-O-N.
M-U-N, S-O-N.
Yep.
This guy here? Yeah, my friend, family, yeah. They're like family. Yeah. That's great. Nice to meet you. Mike. Did you Mike? Senator. I did. Yeah, I retired. I can't believe she was in the house.
Well, this is Crockett's house, and Nick,
my son-in-law,
his son-in-law, and a good friend of mine. I'm out here just helping him out.
Thank you. Thank God everybody's okay.
Oh yeah, I know. It's the fatality is zero. It was an EST.
It's always fixed. That's right. Be careful.
Yes, sir. How you doing, guys?
You know, your mayor and this is your son.
Yep. How you guys doing?
Yeah, over here.
Actually, I'm not here. I just walked out. Last one in 2013. Like, yeah, let me just go get it from school and be done. Otherwise, I must have been just pulling into school when you have here. So. Yep, missed it by about 10 minutes. Only one left standing. All the important stuff's in the red. Well, I ain't been there yet. You know, guys are doing marvelous job. They've been on it all night, so. Yeah, he told me I could never take her back to Michigan, so he's making sure she stays here. Stop for a second.
Completely full.
No,
I'm sure we can get. Yeah, it's probably somebody.
I was going to say, they even stole the neighbors off their front porch.
Yeah, they were probably starting their initial.
And the, even our I didn't know if you guys.
No, we probably didn't. I mean, it wouldn't have been us. It would have been probably a neighbor trying to start their own cleanup.
Yeah, that's what the neighbor said. He thought it was somebody just going.
We can get a bunch more. Back to home? Yeah.
Were we home? Yeah. Oh, the tornado, yes. Was a 2-year-old.
Oh my God. So you got good warning.
Yes. Well, we were watching the news and I saw it where it said it was coming up like a storm.
Yeah.
So I looked out the window and you could see debris flying back here. And I told her and I said, it looks like it's coming this way.
Yeah.
They said, well, shut the door and get the baby in the hall. So I instead of taking them to the hall, I just went in the closet. And when he looked out, he said that it's happened. It's like 3 years ago when it hit me. Hit down the end of the street. Yeah.
Wow.
Me too. She's with her mom, but she's scared to death now. She's going around home, scary. Scary. Thank you.
Hey guys, something's here. Press hold. Hit. Here, stay on the sidewalk.
No, I don't know yet. Baptist over.
Oh, okay. You had me, everything going on, you had me a little...
Guys, over this way. On the grass, or the sidewalk clear. Let's hold here for a second. Here, guys, hold. Track hold. Hold right here. Yep.
We were out long such as yeah. It was, I mean, the upside is the person enjoys houses, traffic, street, parks. They don't get off the 330, jump back, let the storm past, and they stay there. We had a lot of them that even had personal damage, small amounts of personal damage to their homes. They stayed there. So
That's impressive. Where do you think this truck was?
Well, we don't know. We came by it. We thought, I don't know where it was parked.
I came through last night. The mailboxes were intact, so we don't know if it was lifted up, if it came through this way. So really, they actually don't know how I did. It may have been right here. That way.
Again, same thing. Where you can see where the tire marks are here. That back end swung that way. So I thought we checked all these last night.
Yeah, could have been.
That was our initial.
We're going to run over to the EOC, and which is over. You got that over by the
event center.
Where are we headed next?
Sir, we're going to get back in the cars. We're going to go right up here over to the Starbucks.
My wife called me back. She got my
call. What was sum total of his remarks? Just sorry about this.
Yeah, I couldn't really hear that well.
Shaking hands, giving hugs.
Yeah. People talking about where they were when the storm hit and stuff.
I can give you a more detailed account of this stuff once I get to a spot where I can listen to the
To the left side, please.
Hey, how are you? I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, that's very lucky. Thank you. Yeah, yes, we were. Yeah, in the closet with us for days.
How does it work?
He's got eye surgery tomorrow and he's canceled.
How you doing? I actually am very thankful that my house made it, but I just sustained
he's at grandma's right now.
an issue now that was unforeseen. A tree trimmer actually snapped that line. It was just up fine 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago.
Well, we heard it hit Starbucks.
And
you could hear it.
Pole over here was raining, and when he raised his foot,
you hear the wind and you hear the
he was trying to help us clean up.
You can hear the thing fall. And that's when I'm like, all right, right there. Oh yeah. Our house is standing. And no one is hurt.
Devastating. Yeah, my heart breaks for these people down here. My neighbors didn't walk away from me.
There's definitely somebody in there loves definitely a hand. I seen something coming at me. It was dark. And I couldn't tell if it was coming this direction or going that direction. So we're about to stand around and walk until that.
Hit the deck routine.
Yep. The one in 13.
Did you live here?
Yes. No, we actually left about 2 minutes before it hit. Went into Cass County and stayed at family's house, and they got hit by EF0 in their backyard. So we watched the zero and got hit by it.
How'd you make out 3 years ago?
A lot better than this time. Yep, rough last year, but
They're shaking up to see us.
They had the power all turned off?
Right on the corner.
yeah.
We're not even sure. It just split the street right in half. It just went south for the second time. The last time it missed us by just a block because it hit the city did. This time it got by half a street. Really bad. I was actually at work. My husband works for the city. He was at work. It took me 40 minutes to get across town. So they come up over the
I came running out, and I was not sure what was going on.
Yeah, we have Highland Park. Substantial.
That's where they saw. It is. They actually routed me through there last night when I came home, and it just brought tears to your eyes. It's heartbreaking. Yeah. We got a little guy that gets on the bus down here. Last night, him and mom and dad and sister were toting the suitcase. Oh, yeah. Heartbreaking. It really is. It means a lot.
Well, he's doing a great job with the mayor and
He is.
Governor tries.
You know?
Federal officials make sure.
I appreciate you guys coming by.
No one was perfect.
Governor, we got another one of the neighbors right here. Where's your house?
Right across the street.
Right across the street. Everybody okay?
We're in good shape, yes.
Did you get some damage?
Not much. We were very fortunate. We prayed all the way through the storm. Trees come down, but they missed everything. We were fortunate.
I think your prayers went down the street. We were talking to the other.
Today they're not. So.
Yeah, they're still wild.
Dr. Will be there another day to take care of us.
Fantastic. God, well,
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I appreciate
I
it.
appreciate you coming by, Mr.
it's Mike to you. Glad you're Eric, the Lieutenant Governor behind you. And this guy here, come on over. Good to meet you. Don't think about that on the eye.
Okay.
You know the mayor?
Thank you.
Very good.
Appreciate it. Thank you much.
How are you?
We're strong. We'll pull together.
How are you?
We did the last one.
We're good. We're doing good.
Loud crew here. This, yeah, we're not waiting for her. Come on, it was
I'm
great.
glad you guys come by.
Nobody deserves it, but we sure don't want another one. At all. But you know, to be able to stand out here amongst everybody today is just, it's awesome. It really is. Thank you.
I'm so glad you came out.
Yeah, it'll be a while, but I'm going to have
Like one wireless. And they...
There's a truck down there that's laying over in the front yard. This guy outside driving. There it is waiting.
Is that his truck?
Yeah. He drives
see, that's what that answered that question. That's
he drives it in the park right
like
down
it
there.
was in the driveway.
Yeah, he was, at this time of day, he was probably parked on the side of the street, right? If he took a break or something like that. But he's a delivery driver for whatever company that is. I couldn't believe it. I did a double take. This red truck laying sideways. I'm just glad nobody was hurt. It's a miracle. Absolutely. Yes, it is.
I believe. Okay.
That's good. Have a good day. Yep. Nice meeting you.
Hang in there.
Means a lot. You're coming back and coming out here with us.
I don't know. I got what that wire is. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
And he didn't even know anything happened.
You know, we've been through some tough times together.
When it happened, you had to take shelter again, and then they come right back out like little lambs, rebuilding, and it just never stops.
I didn't get
I appreciate you coming, I definitely do.
Yeah, I had about 5 minutes notice. Yeah. Well, I got service a little on my phone, but yeah, but
She just told me she heard the Starbucks coming down. You know your senator, don't you?
yeah. Hi.
She heard the Starbucks coming down and ran into
Yeah, but I had to get my dog and get him and cover and I had to do the hallway and stuff. But now we have a generator, so lucky us. Yeah, and that stuff. But it's my neighbors that I was concerned about and stuff like that. So there's a dog I had to rescue yesterday because he was a German Shepherd, and I'm not a rescuer, but at the same time I don't like him lost and nervous. And so I got him in my backyard, and I was going around the neighborhood down this street. And I said, "You might have lost a German Shepherd." You might have lost a German Shepherd. Finally, this lady here, you have it down.
I don't know this either, but we're following up.
Thank you.
I had mentioned earlier that the tornado downed a Starbucks in Kokomo, Indiana. You're looking at the image right now of that Starbucks that was completely taken down by this sweep of tornadoes that hit central Indiana yesterday.
I mean, it makes no difference when I'm there. Literally, it was like that. So let's take Vaughn and Allen.
Jordan, thanks.
Around.
Really? Why? What?
Okay, well, like, that's their problem.
Let's just do it. Guys, out. Why? Because it's going to become 500 cameras. I'm not going to deal with it, dude. Out. Okay. I'm not having to scrum with 500 cameras. Back. I'll bring you up. Out.
This is unprofessional.
And you know what? You're not coming up today.
It's not unprofessional.
Governor, did you hear that? This frost was on the other side of the this bad.
Behind the cone, behind the cone. So this is the underside of
Can I get you guys behind the cone? Yeah, just about one more foot there. Take a little, one step back, please.
you.
Please. Thanks. Your team did a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Anything you need, let us know. Just keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Good. Nice to see you again.
There you go. Let's swap you guys.
He's in Greece right now. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor. EST, let's run over this way, try to beat him. Sir, come over this way. Okay, we're running forward to get there. Let's go, guys.
I think she worked in full director retired. John.
That trailer right over there. There it is.
It is remarkable to see it up close and to witness firsthand how serious this storm was, and that there was no serious injury or loss of life is a miracle. Gotta keep walking.
Dude, everybody else is doing it, all right?
All right, guys, this is video of Governor Mike Pence touring the tornado damage in Indiana. We're going to take you now live to Italy. We're looking at some of the damage after yesterday morning's devastating earthquake. The death toll has risen substantially since we first discussed the quake yesterday. Yesterday morning at this time, the death toll was at about 73. It's jumped dramatically, right, Ron?
Yeah, the official number that we've been going with this morning is 247, but
wow.
We're getting some indications that they haven't fully reached all the areas of flattened homes, basically.
Wow.
Everybody's focused on 2 or 3 more sizable cities, towns or cities, but there are still some outlying areas,
right?
You know, closer up into the mountainside, where they haven't completed just the process of looking.
Right.
So, you know, they're now saying it is going to go up from here. It'll certainly be above 250, but you know, yesterday when we saw it go from in the early morning from about 30 to, by the time you and I were on, it was a 73. You just sort of hope that would be about it. And so this morning to have it basically tripled from where we were, almost quadrupled, is just heartbreaking.
Well, you remember looking at all the rubble, and it's hard not to think about the possibility that there are people trapped under there. I mean, there was so much devastation, so much rubble. I mean, this is just the live shot that we're getting in right now from Italy. There's not a lot of movement as far as this specific scene. It's sort of just a camera that's stationed there. You can kind of see what's happening. But this video that we have from yesterday of the earthquake, let me just pull this up. This video right here, you can see more of the destruction, I guess. You guys just go ahead and look at this right here. That damage. That's just a portion of the damage that's taken place in Italy. I know the video that we're looking at is from Amatrice.
And in a lot of instances, they're just having to rely on the heavy equipment now.
Right.
You know, the frantic digging with your hands, and number one, isn't very effective, and number two, can be really dangerous. And number three, they've gone about as far as they can go in that regard.
Have you been to Italy?
No. No, although my daughter was just there for her honeymoon. And they went.
Where in Italy was she?
Well, they went up into a little town. I think a lot of people do this. They go to Italy. Okay, we saw Rome, we saw Florence, we saw Venice. We got about 2-3 more days. Let's go out into the countryside somewhere. And they just kind of maybe find what looks like a cool-looking town like this one.
Amatrice, yeah.
Yep. Online and say, oh, that looks adorable. Let's go there.
I did something like that when I was in London. I just needed to
did
find
you really?
a town.
I did that too.
Yeah, what town was it?
I went to a little town called, 2 little towns called Dunster and Maidenhead, way down on the Dorset coast.
Okay, in the south.
In the south. Where did you go?
I am going to have to check Instagram
to
remember the name of it.
How long ago was it?
April, my trip just now. I just have the worst memory, and I just don't.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even know that you had included. I thought that was all city stuff.
Oh, all London? No, there was one. You know what? It is interesting. I didn't actually post any of the photos from my random town. I was snapping a lot of it then. I did go up to Oxford, which isn't London. It's its own town, but it's still a pretty big town. I did go to, what's the name of this place? It's going to kill me if I don't figure it out. I'm going to have to go into my albums. Thankfully, the phone usually documents the location of where you were. So I believe if I can find this, guys, this is bothering me.
While you're looking, I'll just say that when my daughter and her new husband, they went over to Italy, they went to a little town up in the hills, up in the mountains, maybe an hour outside of Milan. So that would be way up in the north. But it was their favorite part.
That's what I'm saying, because it's the most authentic. It's not heavily commercialized. You're getting the true Italian experience.
And the whole terrorism fear factor drops dramatically. I mean, I was talking to somebody who had recently been over to Europe, and they said it's just, there are barricades everywhere now. You just kind of feel like, I don't know, it just has such a different feel because of the current fear of terrorism that we're facing. And so you get out of the city and you go up, you know, into the hills. And we still, at this point, don't know. We haven't had any reports of any Americans that were hurt or killed in this instance. But a lot of the names have not yet been released. Now, the one thing I will say is Americans probably would be more likely to be staying in newer, you know, not 400, 500-year-old apartments. But there are obviously websites out there now. In fact, I just saw in the last hour that Airbnb is waiving all fees and charges and everything if people want to change their reservations for Italy as a result of this, which was really a smart thing to do. So you went to Winchester?
Yes, I believe that is where I went.
Wow.
I want to say I went to Winchester.
What a beautiful town.
I'm just looking at what Winchester looks like to see if it is indeed where I went. I think it was Winchester.
Maybe not. The Royal Oak? Did you go there?
I could have sworn it was Winchester. I definitely saw a cathedral.
Oh, Winchester Cathedral. There used to be a song about it.
You know what? I think I went to Winchester. And, you know, probably one of the viewers has a better memory than I do, because I know you and I recapped it, my experience when I got out. Yeah, I went to Winchester. That's definitely the church I was in.
Cool.
You guys have no idea what we're looking at here, but trust us.
Believe it or not, there was a huge hit song in the 60s called Winchester Cathedral.
Oh, it was probably about that cathedral.
Oh, I'm sure it was, yeah. Winchester Cathedral.
And was the artist British?
No, he was an American guy.
Who probably wrote it during his trip to Britain.
I think his name was Roger Miller. And I believe he's the guy who did it. Well, anyway, so point being that there are hundreds of wonderful little towns and communities all across Italy. And the people who live in Amatrice and 3 or 4 of these other communities have just got to be feeling, why us?
I know. But I mean, Italy is, this part of Italy, if you live near the mountain range, is susceptible to earthquakes. I mean, I guess it's one of those things where, you know, if you live near a fault line, you go into it knowing the dangers.
Sure.
It's sort of just that unsaid thing. You live, you know, in South America, Chile, if you're near that fault line, you are just...
Yeah, sure.
You need to be ready.
Well, the thing is, there's this whole theory going around right now, and not just on the internet. I believe actually there's some science behind it, that the Seattle area is due for a huge earthquake.
Because there is a fault line there.
Correct. And they've had, I mean, even the, I remember when one hit about, 12 years ago, it actually damaged the headquarters of Starbucks up there in Seattle.
Let's look at these faults.
Okay.
I love maps.
So do I.
Science. It's very interesting. We're going to look at this, Ron.
Okay.
All right, we just Googled this. Got this image. So you have this right here, this Pacific plate. And so, yeah, Seattle, very close. This is why Southern California and all of California, really. This is why there are earthquakes in Japan, near Japan, the fear of tsunamis, this whole Pacific plate, really.
Yeah.
Then you have this plate right here. And then if we go into Italy, right here, see these plates? It's kind of hard to see because we're covering them and move us. But right here, that's where Italy
Yes.
is.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and there's that line.
Right across the center part of the boot.
Yeah.
Can you zoom in any more?
I mean, in theory, I could move this.
Okay. Obviously, it's not going to be an exact type map.
But I can find Italy fault map. Is there one that intrigues you?
Yeah, this one right there. Because that shows you where the quake hit.
This is the previous. This is the quake from 2009.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in a similar area.
Yeah,
it's
actually,
everything
it's not
that's
that
near
far.
this,
Yes.
the Apennine Mountains.
Yep.
I remember reading an article yesterday about just all these towns that are along this mountain range are susceptible to earthquakes because of the plates.
Yeah.
Right? You have this African plate and the Eurasian plate, and that's how the mountains formed back in the day anyways. The mountains were formed when these plates pushed together. This is your history lesson, guys. And
geology.
Geology. I miss geology. Oh
We're
my
at the
God. I
intersection
really
of when
think I am
geology and
missing
history-
elementary school right now and junior high. I think I'm having another on-air quarter-life crisis.
Do you
I
wanna-
had one yesterday. I'm having another one today.
Do you want to say all 44 presidents in order so that you can feel like you're actually in the classroom?
No, because I didn't say that I missed history class. I said I missed geology class
Okay.
and geography class when we had to draw the entire map of the world off
Ooh.
memory. Maybe that's where my love for travel
What was that,
began.
about 5th grade?
No, that was like 7th grade.
That was at Fresno Elementary?
No, it was 7th grade. I was in junior high. I was at Computech. I was at one of those gifted schools.
Oh, okay.
And so we had to draw the map of the world. In 5th grade, we had to memorize the state capitals, all 50 of them.
Nice.
And if you got 100% on the test, you got a pizza party.
Okay.
You got to be in it. And pizza is a very motivating factor for a 10-year-old.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Especially me. I think I've said this on air. I weighed more at the age of 12 than I do now.
I have never heard that story before.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, I haven't showed you the secret photo either.
No.
I think I showed 2 people in this newsroom, one who doesn't work here anymore and another one who does. And I was like, guys, one day I will TBT this, but I will not TBT it until I feel like I am at the point of success to which I want to TBT this.
What do you mean point of success?
Like, you know when you've reached the point in your career where you're like,
Oh, I'm
this
so... yeah.
This is when you TBT that
I'm
photo.
so where I want to be. It
So
just
I'm gonna
really
just-
doesn't matter.
No, but then it also shocks everyone. You know what I mean? You
I bet
drop
it
this
will.
photo and they're like, that's not you, is
I bet
it?
it
I'm
will.
like, it is.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Okay.
Off camera. I'll bring it in or take a
Okay,
picture of it.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking at this map, though, of the fault line, and it is interesting that the primary fault line, at least according to that map, is closer to the Adriatic Sea than to the Mediterranean Sea.
Right here.
Yeah. Look at those others. Man. It's interesting that there are no fault lines in Switzerland. I find that
Look
totally
for another
fascinating.
fault map. I feel like there's...
Better?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to find you guys more fault line maps. This is so interesting, all these maps.
Yeah, it really is. Including one that shows the actual location of recent earthquakes and volcanic eruptions.
It's pretty crazy.
It's a good one to look at because it'll help you know the areas that are the most prone.
There's this one.
Okay.
Let's look at this one.
Okay.
This one doesn't really, you can't really see much of Europe here though. but it's a nice one of the world. So, based on this, where's the safest place in the world to live? Canada?
Mongolia.
Canada. I think
Canada. Yeah, Canada's good. You think Canada's safer than Mongolia?
Yeah. Because think about where Mongolia is near, what region it's near.
Russia. And look at Russia, for the most part, gets out of it A-OK.
Right, and that's true in terms of earthquakes. I mean in general, in life. I meant safe in life.
Yes.
Safest place in the world to live in life.
Okay.
I'm going Canada.
Oh, I see.
And my logic being that, okay, we have earthquakes, no earthquakes there, A. B, Canada is fairly friendly with the rest of the world, so no one's mad at it.
Yeah, they are very friendly, aren't they?
They're very friendly, so no one's targeting it.
Yeah.
You don't really hear about ISIS, proclaiming war on Canada.
I loved when...
So I'm just saying, if there's some place in the world that seems safe, there's no Zika in Canada.
Yeah, it's true. Those mosquitoes would probably die off. I loved when...
We're all moving to Canada, guys.
I love when President Obama was up there with Justin Trudeau, and they held the joint news conference, and a reporter asked a question to, I think it was to Trudeau, and there was a question for a second if it was a Canadian reporter or an American reporter, and the Prime Minister Trudeau said, well, that didn't sound like a very Canadian question.
It must have been a negative question.
Correct. It was a little too harsh. Yeah, I love Canada. I love the Canadians. Okay, so here's the story. There have been multiple reports that the Seattle area is on the verge of what's called the big one.
Right here.
Yes. But somebody decided to go out and actually go check with seismologists. And the seismologist was like, we really cannot predict earthquakes. And so he says, a lot of websites have stories that aren't true, and some just put up unlikely stories in the hopes that the public looks at them. But this whole thing, because I have a lot of family up there, it's certainly been the topic of conversation that the big one is, could happen one of these days. Let me see what it... Oh, okay, it was the New Yorker magazine. And they're saying that when a big quake does hit the Seattle area or the Pacific Northwest, it's not going to be as bad as the New Yorker made it out to seem.
Oh.
In fact, one guy told a radio station up there that the whole idea that everything west of I-5, which is the same as, it cuts Seattle right in half.
Right.
That everything to the west of it would be toast is fully exaggerated, this one seismologist.
But you want to stay east of I-5 just to be safe.
Just to be on the safe side? So what that means is only drive north.
Well, there's that whole idea that an earthquake could cause part of California to drift away. Fresno's still safe. Fresno would become the beach side.
Sure it would. And that property that you guys have there would be...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would, oh my goodness. I'd make so much money.
Yeah. But nevertheless, if the New Yorker ran a story saying everything west of the I-5, then you would only ever want to travel north on that freeway. Because the southbound lanes would be on the west side.
Yeah.
The northbound lanes would be on the east side. So
See,
just
Canada.
Remember.
I told you, Canada. North is Canada.
Right.
Everything's safer in Canada.
Okay.
Speaking of Canada, a lot of people who are anti-Trump claim that they're going to move to Canada if Donald Trump becomes president. Oh. And speaking of Trump, we have live images of his rally, so I thought that was just my appropriate transition, Ron. How'd you like that?
I loved it, SK, especially because I just yesterday ran a story in one of my newsroom segments here in our morning show about the realtor in South Carolina who's actually paying for billboards that have a picture of Trump, a picture of Clinton, and the headline that says, "Moving to Canada, we can sell your home fast."
That is so funny.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people actually move to Canada, because I bet that every election cycle, there's a candidate out there that someone doesn't like, and they claim, I'm moving to Canada if so-and-so gets elected.
Right.
And I'm wondering if how many people actually follow through with that, first of all.
Right.
And secondly, how chill is Canada about that when it comes to like immigration from Americans? Is it so easy to become Canadian?
No, you have to work on it.
How hard is it to become Canadian?
I know a few
should do
people
an undercover
that have.
investigation.
Yes, you should.
I'm going to start the process.
Doing the show from Canada. Just walk into a newsroom, kind of like, hey, I'm your new social media person.
I have a place to live in Calgary. My granduncle lives up there.
Yep. And just sort of act like you got hired and ask where the social media area is in the building, and then just show up.
Just show up.
I think it would work. You know, my wife tells a unbelievably unbelievable and very famous story in our family. But the whole reason their whole family ended up in Seattle.
Oh, do tell.
Was because her grandfather had put a, I don't know exactly how he messed it up, but he had put, he was living in Salt Lake City, and his name was Warren. And so he puts in a bunch of different resumes and, you know, that kind of thing. And he gets a letter back saying, we believe you're qualified. Please show up at our, he thinks it's from the Coca-Cola company when it was actually a different employer. You know, back in those days, people were just writing stuff on typewriters.
Come on,
right?
this is crazy. I mean, this is pre-internet, pre-everything.
It is ridiculous.
Where do they even find job listings? In newspapers?
Yeah, you would have clipped them out of a newspaper.
But then you would need like a national newspaper if it's not like a local job. I mean, you really have to think about how much harder life was back in different. I didn't say harder, different.
But anyway, he showed up, and the receptionist, he said, yeah, I'm your new hire. And the receptionist shows him back. And somehow he ends up, you know, after a little while, they figured out that it was a mistake. But at that point, they're like, well, we really like you. We'll keep you.
At Coca-Cola?
Yeah, he was.
He showed up to Coca-Cola, but he got the letter from somewhere else.
I think that's how it worked.
Oh, my gosh. So that's how he got a job at Coke.
Yeah.
That's
and
hilarious
so then,
and amazing.
A couple of years later, they were opening some operations in Seattle. And so he said to his wife, Ruth, he said, let's move to Seattle. And so that's how I met my wife, was because they moved to Seattle. Otherwise, they never would.
It was all meant to be.
All because he showed up at the wrong place.
Or the right place.
And talked his way into a job.
That's amazing.
It is actually amazing, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. It's legend. It's urban legend in our family.
It's a good story, Ronald.
Thank you, Samia.
So we're looking at live images of this Donald Trump rally, Manchester, New Hampshire. Trump running a little bit late. It was scheduled to start at 10. We haven't seen anyone take the stage quite yet, so I assume that Trump will be starting late. He's been starting late the past couple days.
I know, I'm not impressed. I mean, that's one of the raps against Obama, as opposed to, if you remember, George W. Bush, man, the trains ran on time with him.
Obama's always late. Yeah. Hillary Clinton events are typically late. Donald Trump events, typically late. But you know what? It's weird because once in a while, Donald Trump will start an event early. I just want everything to be on time.
Yep.
So
I'm with you.
That's my take. But here locally, there's another story I want to get to.
Okay.
So, you know, the man once known as the I-10 shooter. He's no longer accused of being the I-10 shooter.
Yep.
That man, Leslie Allen Merritt Jr.
Charges dropped.
Charges dropped. Well, today, he's going to court because he wants his gun back. The gun that was confiscated because of that whole incident.
Right.
These accusations. Nicole Garcia, live at the courthouse. We're going to talk with her right now. Nicole, you're live on News Now.
Hi guys, good morning. Yes, we're standing right outside of the courthouse at 11 o'clock. This hearing is supposed to begin, and we don't know if Leslie Merritt Jr. is actually going to show up to this hearing, but of course his attorneys are going to be here, and they're going to try to convince Judge Warren Granville to have DPS release Leslie Merritt's gun from evidence and give it back to him. Now, if you remember, the charges against Leslie Merritt were dropped in April. So DPS back last year, when this all started, their crime lab, their ballistics expert, linked Leslie Merritt's gun to 2 of the still unsolved shootings. Well, back in April, the defense attorneys presented evidence from a different ballistics expert who pretty much refuted the DPS crime lab's conclusion and said, no, we can't conclude that Leslie Merritt Jr.'s gun is linked to these shootings. So that's how what started the process of getting the charges against Leslie Merritt dismissed. So today, the judge is going to hear from his attorneys and DPS as to why DPS should give the gun back, or should DPS hold on to it, because again, DPS is saying, you know, there's still this string of shootings that's unsolved, and they're still looking at Leslie Merritt Jr. as a possible suspect in the case.
Here's one question that kind of popped into my mind, which is, why involve your legal team in such a long, drawn-out battle? Why not just go buy a new gun?
I mean, I don't think he has a lot of money.
That's a question I could certainly ask Jason Lamb. He's not here yet, but I think, you know, it's probably just more symbolic to be able to say, hey, you know, the charges against him have been dropped. He's no longer, you know, going to be legally responsible for this case, so give him all his property back, you know. I'm assuming that's probably just it's kind of symbolic, you know, for them to say, okay, you know, you're not a suspect anymore, give the gun back. But DPS, again, holding on to the gun and still saying that he is a possible suspect in this case.
Okay, and that's a good point, Nicole, because DPS says they still can take that gun and use it to tie it to 2 particular events, 2 particular shootings. So the skeptic, you know, we're all trained to be highly skeptical in this business. The skeptic in me says, okay, maybe he just wants his gun back, but the rigmarole that he's having to go through for a gun that's probably cost him a couple $100 compared to all these legal fees less, and all the maneuvering, the skeptic in me says he wants to get that gun as far away from law enforcement as he can, and once it's returned to him, he's free to destroy it or do whatever he wants. Sell it off to somebody else, drop it in
the ocean,
in the river.
It's his gun, you know. I mean, it's his gun. He's no longer at this point a suspect. But of course, DPS has always said all along, even when the charges were dropped back in April, that they still consider him a suspect, and there's still a possibility. There is still a possibility that these charges could be brought up against Leslie Merritt again, given, you know, evidence.
Any other questions that you want to ask Nicole? Because I know she's going to head into the courtroom in a few minutes.
Just real quick, did we get the approval for the camera to be inside the courtroom? Do we know yet?
We don't know yet. Judge Ron Granville usually lets us, you know, lets us bring a camera into the courtroom to a pool situation. So usually that matter is taken up right before the hearing begins. But I have no doubt that the judge will let us have our cameras in the courtroom. So.
All right, Nicole. Well, hopefully we'll be able to stream that here on News Now. Thank you for the update. And viewers, we're going to take you back to that Donald Trump rally. Thanks, Nicole.
Yeah, Nicole doing a great job for us on that story. And that hearing's set to get underway, I believe, right at 11 straight up. Mm-hmm. So that gives her a chance to get upstairs and be in place. We're seeing a few signs being waved now, that type of thing. So maybe, I don't know.
Maybe we'll hear from Trump momentarily.
Well, he called Hillary Clinton a bigot last night.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. He said she is only interested in the African-American vote as far as it goes to just getting her numbers, just getting her actual votes. She doesn't care about the people behind those votes or actually doing anything to improve their lives, which he said that makes her a bigot. Pretty harsh words, but then he's used harsh words before.
I mean, the talk of this morning, though, really is more focused on Donald Trump. People are focusing on Donald Trump and how he sort of flip-flopped on immigration. So in case you guys don't know, Donald Trump will be here in the Valley next Wednesday. And initially, many of us in the newsroom thought, okay, well, he had announced he was going to do an immigration speech. Logically,
sure,
Arizona would be his destination to give that immigration policy speech. But now we're learning that the Arizona speech is not going to be about immigration. And so
it's going to be about GOP unity.
Right. It's the day after the primary here in Arizona. Right. And
which it's a smart place for him to do that, too, because there was a poll 2 weeks ago that showed he was behind. Only one, but it showed he was 3 points behind Hillary Clinton.
Here in Arizona.
Correct. There's a new poll out, came out last night, that says he's ahead 5 points in
I
our
read
state.
that one, yeah.
And I actually believe that one a little bit more. It's more, I think, broadly based, probably a bit more, just in terms of the strength of the numbers behind it.
So my question for you, let's just say that this speech is about GOP unity. It's taking place here in Arizona the day after the primary.
Yeah.
Do you think someone like Senator McCain would actually show up for that? Senator McCain did not show up at the RNC.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he is our senator here.
Yeah.
The primary is the day before, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming he's going to still be in Arizona that Wednesday.
Right.
Would he show up to something like that?
Nope, because he's kept his distance.
Right.
As well he should, because of the insult that Donald Trump gave
Absolutely.
to him. Now, a way more interesting scenario would have been, what if this rally was held on Sunday or Monday prior to the Tuesday election?
Right.
Then you've got a real political calculus. But it doesn't harm him in any way. In fact, assuming he wins the primary and he were to show up there the next day, then he's more tied to Trump going into the general election.
Right.
And he's going to have to try to not only win Republicans over, many of whom are new enrollees in the voting records because of Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not only going to have to try to keep Republicans in his camp, he's going to have to go after a lot of independents.
Do you think, I mean, if this whole speech is about GOP unity, though, don't you think there needs to be prominent GOP figures that also speak at this rally besides Donald Trump?
Sure. But he'll have probably Sheriff Arpaio will be there.
Okay. Probably former Governor Jan Brewer.
Jan Brewer. Those have
Okay.
been the two big names.
But I guess when I think of GOP unity,
Yes, of course.
they've already been on his side. I'm thinking more of like the Senator McCains, the Paul Ryans, those type of people
Sure.
that, when people think of the Republican Party right now, who do they typically think of?
Right. Well, so the problem is so many people in the party are just continuing to keep their distance.
Right.
Because he's starting to be more on message, but that's only been a week.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are concerned that he'll go off the
Teleprompter? Because he's
well-
been sticking to teleprompter the last few events as well.
Yeah.
And that's in an effort to stay on message and not say anything not approved.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see who else shows up, but I think it'll be the usual cast of characters. I don't think Senator McCain or Senator Flake or Congresswoman Ann Kirkpatrick will be at the Donald Trump rally. I guess I got to run into my meeting.
All right, Ronald. Thanks for hanging.
Yeah, well, hopefully he'll be speaking very soon.
Guys, coming up, Donald Trump rally, live from New Hampshire.
This heart of stone. Oh no, no. This heart of stone. What's different about her? I don't really know. No matter how I try, I just can't make her cry. This heart of stone. Oh no, no, no. This heart of stone. Don't keep on looking that same old way. If you try acting sad, you'll only make me glad. Better listen, little girl. You're going walking down the street. I ain't got no love. I ain't the kind of me. 'Cause you'll never break, never break, never break, never break. this heart of stone. Oh no, no, you'll never break this heart of stone, dog. No, no, this heart of stone. You'll never break it, darling. You won't break this heart of stone. Oh no, no, no. You better go. You better go home. 'Cause you'll never break this heart of stone.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome retired neurosurgeon, great neurosurgeon, Dr. Carson, and good friend of Mr. Trump's.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I am absolutely delighted to be back here in New Hampshire. When I was on the trail, my wife Candy and I celebrated our 40th anniversary here with 600 of our closest friends. But why am I here today? I'm here for the same reason that I originally ran, because I want to save our country. And America is worth saving. When you stop and you think about all that went into the creation of this country and the sacrifices that so many made so that we could have freedom, so that we could have a land that was of, for, and by the people, not of, for, and by the government. That's what it was intended to be. And we want to make it great again. And in order to do that, we must pay attention to every segment of our society. All of it must be taken care of. And that's one of the things that Donald Trump has been talking about. He's gotten a lot of criticism for talking about, portions of our country that aren't doing well, like our big inner cities. But the fact of the matter is, if they're not doing well, the whole country is going to have a problem, because we're all in the same boat. And if part of the boat sinks, eventually the rest of it's going down too. And that's one of the reasons that we're called the United States of America, not the divided states of America. And it is such a land of opportunity because, when I grew up in dire poverty with a terrible temper, terrible grades, it certainly didn't look that great for me. But you know what I had? I had a mother who believed in me. That's what made the difference. And she got me to understand that the person who has the most to do with what happens to you in life is you. It's not somebody else. It's not the environment. It's not even the government. And once you understand that, it makes all the difference in the world. And that's one of the things that I've had many conversations with Donald Trump about, the potential of our people and the importance of education once again. Our founding fathers talked about the importance of having a well-informed and educated populace. They said if we ever have anything other than that, the nature of the country will change because people will be easily misled. And if you ever look at some of those man-on-the-street things and they go out and they interview people about basic stuff, you'll know exactly what they were talking about. And it's why he is emphasizing education so strongly. Because if you give people a good education, they can write their own ticket. It doesn't matter what their ethnic or sociological background is. That's why we must concentrate on that. We must think about school choice. We must think about vouchers so that people can go to good schools and that the failing schools either get better or disappear. Either one is okay, as long as we get our people educated. That's what's important. And traditionally, Republicans haven't talked about these things. They haven't talked about our prison system, where we have 5% of the population of the world, but 25% of the prison inmates. That means that there's a problem. And we have got to solve those problems. We've got to analyze those problems. We also have to recognize that when people are in prison, the reason there's such a high recidivism rate is because they go into prison with little education and little skills, and they come out with little education and little skills. So what are they going to do? The same thing that got them in there in the first place. So we have to start figuring out a way to change that narrative, because that will strengthen every single one of us. And we must find a way to bring jobs back to this country. You know, we have policies in place that are destroying jobs. We have trade agreements that are destroying jobs. And you know, this is not a complex equation. We have a reasonable tax code, and we get rid of all the stupid regulations that are keeping people from doing what God gave them the talent to do. And then lastly, we must bring back values and principles that made us into a great nation. We can't allow the secular progressive movement to destroy the very value system that made us stand apart from everybody else and allowed this country to go from nowhere to the pinnacle of the world in record time. And we can go back there again when we remember our values. And our values are good values. Donald Trump does not want to exclude people from our country, but he has the same philosophy as Teddy Roosevelt, who said, we are a nation of immigrants. Everybody is welcome to come here legally as long as they want to be Americans and they accept our values and they accept our Constitution. And we are very fortunate at this time to have someone running for president who's not a typical politician, who's willing to speak his mind, who is unafraid, and who loves America. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend and the next president, Mr. Donald Trump.
There's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. The greatest. Great people. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I want to thank Dr. Ben Carson, a friend of mine and a great, great gentleman, and it's an honor to have him with us, believe me. It is terrific to be back in New Hampshire. Really a very special place to me because this is where I won my first primary, my first victory. Who knows? If I didn't win here, who knows where I'd be? Maybe I'd be building buildings or something, but who knows? But I want to just thank everybody. It's an honor. And I made you a promise. I made the people of New Hampshire a promise because you've heard me talking about it, and I talk about you all the time. I said that we are going to stop the epidemic of drugs pouring across our southern border. Heroin in particular, where you have a massive problem. We will stop it, and then we will work hard to get all of those people that are hooked, we'll get them off it one way or the other. We're going to work very hard. I made you that promise. You watch. I fulfill my promises. I've developed such a deep affection for this state, and let me just tell you, you're going to be very, very happy if I win. That I can tell you. Over the next 74 days, that's what we have, 74 days, started on June 16th of last year, and it seemed like such a long, long ways, and now we're down to 74 days. We're going to work very hard together. We're going to win this state just like we did in the primaries, and we're going to win the White House. We are going to win for the American people. Our victory is going to be a victory for the great majority of Americans whose voice has not been heard for many, many years. Year after year, we live under a Washington regime, and that's what it is. It's a regime that ignores your demands, rejects your cries,
and they are cries for help in many cases, and they are being rejected. And that always puts your needs first. Your needs are going to come first. The real divide in this election is not between left and right, but between everyday working people and a corrupt political establishment that works only for itself. This election is a chance for the great majority of decent citizens to end the rule of a small group of special interests and to return that power to the voters, or, as we would say, to the people. Hillary Clinton believes only in government of, by, and for the powerful. I am promising government of, by, and for the people. In this fight, which will be a big one, we are taking on let's just win on November the 8th. That would be the ultimate, and that's what we're going to do. Because in this fight, we're taking on some very entrenched and well-financed interests. Money is pouring in to her campaign by the special interests, the lobbyists, the donors, the people that own the companies that are moving your jobs to Mexico and other places. These are the same people who pay Hillary $10,000 a minute for a speech. Not a good deal. Not a good investment. These special interests are the same people who own the newspapers that cover up her crimes. They're covered up. These are the same Wall Street firms who paid Hillary Clinton $250,000 each time she delivered her secret remarks that nobody knows what she said. They're the same people who paid Bill and Hillary Clinton over $150 million for speeches since Bill left the office. And who donated countless millions of dollars more to the Clinton Foundation. But you have the power with your vote. And by the way, New Hampshire is a very, very important state in this election. Very important. And if I win New Hampshire, okay, when I win, okay? Okay, when I win. Just remember this. This is a promise. New Hampshire is staying right where it is in terms of primary. It's an unbelievable state and an unbelievable tradition. And there's a lot of talk of moving you to the back of the pack. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I give you my word, New Hampshire stays right where it is. Okay? So you have the power with your vote to defeat those special interests and put the people back in charge once more like it's supposed to be. This has been a very historic week in American politics. The voters have always known that our leadership in Washington, D.C. is corrupt and that the system is very badly rigged, a word that I believe I used first that has been copied all over the place. It's badly rigged and it's broken. But this week, the curtain was truly lifted. The corruption was revealed for all to see. The veil was pulled back on a vast criminal enterprise run out of the State Department by Hillary Clinton. As the Associated Press documented, more than half of the meetings Hillary Clinton took as Secretary of State with people outside government were Clinton Foundation donors. Hillary's chief of staff received more messages from the Clinton Foundation's chief operating officer than just about anybody else. 85 donors alone that she met with as secretary gave the foundation $156 million. And I know many of these people. These are not people that are going up to pay their respects and say, Madam Secretary, how are you feeling? Isn't it a beautiful day? The weather is so beautiful. These are people that want things for their donation. These are people that expect things for their donation. And when you follow it out and you see the people that left her office, you take a look at what those people, those companies, and those countries got. Believe me, you will find out it is plenty. On top of that, Bill Clinton's total speaking fees rose 44% while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, often raking in money from people who had business or matters before the State Department. Very simple. As I said weeks ago, Hillary Clinton ran the State Department like a personal hedge fund. It's hard to tell where the Clinton Foundation ends and where the State Department begins. Access and favors were sold for cash. It's called pay for play. Over and over and over, people who donated to the Clinton Foundation or who gave money to Bill Clinton got favorable treatment from Hillary Clinton's State Department. The examples are too many to name here in full. And I've gone over, I will tell you, I've looked at so many over recent days. But they include the deal to sell 20% of United States uranium to Russia, or the very favorable treatment given to UBS, big bank, giant bank. It includes, we're all sick of it. It includes the exemption of telecom giant Ericsson from government sanctions. It includes efforts to put a foundation donor with no national security experience at all onto a highly sensitive national security panel that he wanted to be on with access to top secret information. It includes foundation donors getting lucrative contracts in Haiti, all while the people of Haiti suffered horribly and are not, by the way, big fans of the Clintons. But these examples are only the tip of the Clinton corruption iceberg. Hillary Clinton's actions constitute all of the elements of a major criminal enterprise. You know it, the government knows it, and she knows it. She created a private illegal email server in order to hide her corrupt dealings. That's all it is, folks. Very simple. She knew what she was doing 100%. She did so knowing full well it would put American lives at risk by making classified information highly vulnerable to foreign hacking. And that's what happened. And by the way, people that did 2% of what she did, their lives have been destroyed. But she didn't care. As long as it helped her get away with her crime, no risk to America was too great. It didn't matter to her. And now she's running for president. Then, to further cover up her crime, she deleted 33,000 emails to keep them out of the hands of the authorities and the American public. As a further element of the criminal cover-up, she claimed, under penalty of perjury, that she turned over all of her work-related emails. We now know this to be one more massive Clinton lie and deception. The FBI found thousands of work-related emails she failed to turn over, including the new discovery this week of 15,000 more work-related emails she did not disclose. What is being uncovered now is one of the most shocking scandals in American political history. It's Watergate all over again. It's Watergate. And she's being totally protected by our government. A Secretary of State sold her office to corporations and foreign governments, betraying the public trust, putting innocent lives in danger, and then she went to great lengths to hide, delete, destroy, and lie about the evidence. Just like her lie that she never sent any material marked classified. Total lie. Lie after lie after lie. This is the corruption we expect to see in a third world country, but not in the United States of America. Just imagine the damage to our security, to our integrity, to our standing in the world. And believe me, the world is laughing as they watch. If Hillary Clinton is allowed to sell the Oval Office in the same way she sold her office as Secretary of State, and she can't help herself. She cannot help herself. We cannot let this happen. Can't let it happen. We must vote on November 8th to keep the American government from being sold to the highest bidder. Vote to save your country. So important. So important. You folks have no idea how important you are in this room and in this state. So important. And by the way, folks, if you're looking at the poll numbers, take a look. We're doing very well. Very well. So vote to protect your family. Vote for honesty, integrity, and accountability. Now, as all of these revelations have been discovered, some this week, many this month, Hillary Clinton has been hiding. She's been hiding. Where is she? Although I hear, for the first time in a long time, she'll be making some kind of a quick statement tonight. But she's emerging not to take the responsibility for her unethical and criminal conduct, but instead to make one of the most brazen attempts at distraction in the history of politics. Now, I've not seen what Hillary he's going to say, but I've heard about it. And in a sense, I don't want to dignify her statements by dwelling on them too much, but a response is required for the sake of all decent voters that she is trying to smear. The news reports are that Hillary Clinton is going to try and accuse this campaign and all of you and the millions of decent Americans at record levels. There has never been anything like this. This is a movement we have. This was set up. This event was set up late last night, and look what happens. Look how many people. It's a movement, folks, like they've never seen before. And going to accuse decent Americans who support this campaign, your campaign, of being racists, which we're not. It's the oldest play in the Democratic playbook. When Democratic policies fail, they are left with only this one tired argument. You're racist, you're racist, you're racist. They keep saying it, you're racist. It's a tired, disgusting argument. And it's so totally predictable. They're failing so badly. It's the last refuge of the discredited Democrat politician. They keep going back to the same well. But you know what? The people are becoming very smart. They've heard it too many times before. The well is dry. The well is dry. This is the year the American people who believe in much better and much more honest politics say the word enough, enough. This is the year that the people who have been betrayed by Democratic policies, including millions and millions of African American and Hispanic American citizens, reject the politicians who have failed them over and over and over again for 50 years, for 75 years, without break, for even, in some cases, 100 straight years. They failed them, and you're going to vote for a change. It's time. As I've discussed for many days now, Democratic politicians have run nearly every inner city in America for the 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years. Their policies have produced only more poverty, total joblessness, and failing schools. Every policy Hillary Clinton supports is a policy that has failed and betrayed communities of color in this country. But she doesn't care. She's too busy raking in cash from people and rigging the system and taking the African American vote and the Hispanic vote and saying, we're going to do a great job. And right after the election, it's bye-bye, I'll see you in 4 years. Nothing happened. Nearly 4 in 10 African American children live in poverty. 58% of African American youth are not working. More than 2,700 people have been shot in Chicago this year alone. These are the consequences of Hillary Clinton's policies and the policies of people that think like her. She has brought nothing but pain and heartache and broken promises to your inner cities. On top of that, she wants to raise taxes on African American owned businesses to as much as nearly 50% more than they're paying now. I am lowering taxes very, very substantially. She is asking for a major tax increase. We should be helping these businesses grow and expand, create jobs, but Hillary Clinton is virtually trying to shut them down. She opposes school choice. You need your education is a disaster. She supports open borders that violate the civil rights of African Americans by giving their jobs to people here unlawfully. She supports trade policies that have closed factories in African American communities and put millions of African Americans and others, all of us, out of work. So many people out of work. She supports radical regulations that puts Americans out of a job and that raise the price of their energy bills, you all see it, beyond anything that you thought would ever happen. She supports policies on crime that make communities less safe and that make it harder to raise your children in security and in peace. You see it all the time, the inner cities. Parents walking with their beautiful child and they get shot. They're shot. Their child is shot, often killed. Folks, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? Donald Trump will fix it. We're going to make it better. We're going to help education. We're going to straighten out crime. We're going to create jobs. We're going to bring our companies back. What the hell do you have to lose? It can't get any worse than what it is right now. You know, I said this a few weeks ago, and I mean it so deeply in my heart. We will fix it. We will get it fixed. They're never going to do it for you. It's words. It's politicians. You know what I always say about politicians? All talk, no action. They're controlled by their lobbyists and their special interests and their donors. Me, I put up my money. I'm into this thing for a lot of money. I want to tell you. Nobody's going to be calling me and asking for favors. We want to move a company to Mexico. Please make sure it happens. Let me tell you, I'm going to make sure just the opposite. I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen. I believe every single parent in this country, and especially in the inner cities, has the right to raise their children in safety. Walk down the street in safety, not be shot at. This is one of the great civil rights issues of our time, and people don't talk about it that way. This is a civil rights issue. The Democrats have run your inner cities. They're making a fortune for themselves, and they're destroying, remember this, the people that live there. They are destroying those people. This is actually a civil rights issue. And it's a disgrace, and they should be ashamed of themselves. But Hillary Clinton doesn't want to talk about any of this. She can't defend her record. She's got a horrible record. And as Bernie Sanders said, she's got very, very bad judgment. She really does. All you have to do is look at what she's done. She doesn't have one single proposal that hasn't been tried and failed. She doesn't have one idea that does anything but destroy jobs for African Americans and Hispanic Americans and all Americans in our country. it's going to be a disaster. Her trade deals were a disaster. This will be catastrophic for our country. So what does she do when she can't defend her record? That's right. She lies. He said it. She lies. And she smears. And she paints decent Americans, you, as racists. She bullies voters who only want a better future and tries to intimidate them out of voting for a change. I'm for change. She doesn't want change. As I discussed yesterday, these are the same tactics the establishment powers used to try to scare the British people out of voting for change also. It didn't work there, and it's not going to work here. Call me Mr. Brexit. The American people are ready to vote for freedom, opportunity, and justice. They are ready to take back control of their own futures. You have to take it back. We will take it back. The movement will take it back together. It's time the Clintons were held accountable for their inappropriate conduct. Thank you. You can see the feeling in this country. You can see by these outbursts, you can see the anger at what she got away with, but maybe she won't get away with it. But you can see the anger when law enforcement allows her a free pass on something that was so bad. You can see the anger in this room. You can see the anger all over the country. Great, great institutions. The FBI, the Department of Justice. They've taken a hit in our country and throughout the world like nobody ever thought would be possible. Nobody. According to the book Game Change, Bill Clinton shockingly said about President Barack Obama that a few years ago, this guy would have been getting us coffee. That's what he said. And we've all seen the cringeworthy comments from Hillary Clinton, which I won't get into here, but we know what they are. You've heard them. Here's the central point that I want to get across today. Hillary Clinton isn't just attacking me. She's attacking all of the decent people of all backgrounds, doesn't matter, of all backgrounds, who support this incredible, once-in-a-lifetime movement. Never seen anything like it. We can't let that stand. We can't. Voters are used to the old game where failed politicians like Hillary, who did lose to Barack Obama rather decisively, an election she was supposed to win easily. Please don't forget that. Where she falsely smears Republicans with the charges of racism and other things. Republicans then always have a tendency to back down and be defensive and look bad. Not Donald Trump. Democrats then continue to push policies that are devastating to communities of color and devastating to lots of other communities. We must break this corrupt cycle. We're going to. And we are going to break it beginning today in New Hampshire. So let me make some very clear statements before this whole country, including all of those many cameras back there. First, on the border, the people of this country who want their laws enforced and respected by all, and who want their border secured are not racists. If you want to have strong borders so that people come into our country, but they come in legally through a legal process, that doesn't make you a racist. It makes you smart. It makes you an American. They're all patriotic Americans. We will build the wall 100%, and Mexico will be paying for the wall. We will build it 100%. I see all this stuff given out over the last 3 or 4 days by the media that Trump doesn't want to build the wall. Folks, we are building the wall, okay? And remember this also. I have great respect for Mexico's leaders because, frankly, they're smarter, tougher, and more cunning than ours. But remember this also. Mexico is making an absolute fortune dealing with the United States, not only on the border, but with trade. $60 billion trade deficit we have with Mexico. Remember what I say. Mexico will pay for the wall. Remember. These are patriotic Americans of all backgrounds who want their jobs protected and their country kept safe. It's very simple. They want to have their country kept safe. I will never apologize for pledging to enforce and uphold every single law of the United States. We will uphold those laws for our people. I will never apologize for making it my, and this is, I will tell you, for making it my priority, but is it your priority also? I think so. So I will never apologize for making it my priority on immigration to protect American citizens above every other single consideration. We have to protect our people. We've lost sight of that. We will end illegal immigration, and we will restore the constitutional rule of law. It will be restored. Next, on national security, people who speak out against radical Islam and who warn about refugees are not Islamophobes. They're not. They are decent American citizens who want to uphold our value as a tolerant society and who want to keep the terrorists the hell out of our country. If the choice is between saving lives or appeasing politically correct censors in Washington, D.C., that is the easiest choice you and I will ever have to make. We will always choose saving American lives. We have thousands and thousands of people being brought into our country from the Middle East, from Syria. We don't know where they are, where they're coming from. They don't have paperwork. There's no reliable source that can vet these people. It could be the all-time great Trojan horse, thousands. And Hillary Clinton wants to increase that number by 550% a year. Not going to happen, folks. Not going to happen. Not on my watch, that I can tell you. Now on crime. People who support the police and who want crime reduced and stopped are not prejudiced. They're concerned and loving citizens and parents whose heart breaks every time an innocent child is lost to totally preventable violence. There is no compassion in tolerating crime and poisonous drug dealing and the killings all over our streets in so many different cities. I will work to dismantle the criminal gangs and cartels and to liberate our poorest citizens from crime and violence and poverty and fear. To Hillary Clinton and her donors and advisors, pushing her to spread smears and her lies about decent people, I have 3 words. I want you to remember these 3 words. Shame on you. When you're like the Clintons getting think of this one, getting $69 million in political contributions from Wall Street and big banks. And I think I got 16,000. You saw that. And I don't know who the poor guy is that gave me the money, because he's not going to get anything for it. It's easy to look down on the so-called little people. This is the way she views the people of our country. It's easy to ignore the devastation caused by our open borders when you spend all of your time with wealthy donors and Hollywood celebrities who... It's easy to ignore the heartfelt concerns of communities about radical Islam entering our country when you spend your time hanging out with foreign dictators in their lavish palaces and homes. And it's easy, no doubt, for Hillary Clinton to turn a blind eye to the ravages of crime when she has her own personal armed security force. Now, she wants to essentially dismantle our Second Amendment. I think the first thing she should do is call up Washington and immediately request that her great Secret Service agents drop all weapons. Let them walk around with no weapons. And let's see how she feels about that when she wants to take away your guns. But this is how the system is rigged. For decades, the American people have demanded that their immigration laws be enforced and that their jobs be protected from out-of-control immigration. But the special interests who only want cheap labor have stopped it from happening. They've totally stopped it. And they're putting up tremendous amounts of money. For years, the American people have worried about letting radical Islam spread within our shores. But the elites who only want to raise more money for global corporations ignore the concerns of the American voters. Very simple. For 50 years, people living in our inner cities have suffered under the Democrats' failed policy regime. In almost every case, it's Democratic rule. But the Democratic politicians who only want to please media executives and Wall Street donors do nothing but expand the hurt and the suffering that our inner cities and our country is going through right now. It's time for a new day and a new dawn in America. On November 8th, we will end the rule of special interests, and we will begin the rule of the people. I am asking for your vote so that we can break free from the failures of the past and create a new American future. I am asking for your vote so that we can achieve amazing things for the American people. We can be greater than ever before. I am telling you, we can be greater than ever before. And African American citizens and Latino citizens will have the time of their life because we are going to create jobs like you've never seen. We're going to bring our companies back. We're going to bring our jobs back. And we are not going to allow these companies to leave our country, fire all of their workers, make their product, and sell it foolishly back into our country with no retribution. Believe me, those days are gone. So I'm asking for the vote of every African American and Hispanic American who wants to see for the first time, maybe ever, a better future, and a future that begins with jobs, 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 and also education, education, education. We are going to bring back great education for our inner cities and for our country. We will fix our disastrous trade deals and stand up to the countries that cheat, of which there are many. We will lower taxes and create millions of new jobs as a result. Companies will come pouring in. We will unleash an American energy revolution. We will eliminate job-killing regulations destroying our businesses. We will repeal and replace the horrible disaster known as Obamacare. We will enforce our immigration laws, and we will put rules in place that hire American workers first. And that includes Hispanic workers, and that includes African American workers. We will end the era of nation building and instead work in partnership with our allies to crush and destroy ISIS. We will keep radical Islamic terrorism out of our country. We will promote the values of tolerance, justice, and acceptance. We will steadfastly reject bigotry and hatred and oppression in all of its ugly forms. America will be one nation united in common. We will have a nation the likes of which this world perhaps has never seen before. We will have dreams, and they'll be common dreams. And we will have a purpose. We have no purpose right now. Our citizens will proudly promote our values, and our system of government as the best anywhere in the world, and they will be proud of it, and they will believe it, not just say it, they will believe it. And we will do so without apology. Together, we will make America prosperous again and wealthy again. We will make America proud again. We will make, very importantly, America safe again. Friends, citizens, and fellow Americans, we will make America great again, greater than ever before. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to go to some breaking news out here in Phoenix. A barricade situation at 8th Street and Diana in Phoenix. This is near 7th Street and Dunlap. Phoenix Police Department is waiting for a guy to show up with a bunker to clear the house. That bunker is a shield, so we got a barricade situation here. We're going to follow right here for you. Fox 10 News Now, part of fox10phoenix.com. Scott Fox up in the air for us. All right there, looks like Scott Fox there leaving the scene. All right, folks, and while take a look at live stock market right now. We are going to take a little break here on the Fox 10 News Now stream. We'll be back up in just a little bit.